Hello, everyone. Welcome to the newest podcast about kayak bass fishing in the nation. If you're here to talk kayaks and kayak fishing, you're in the right spot. Your host, John Suits, brings you into the exciting world of Greenfish Nation and all it has to offer. We will have special guests from product manufacturers as well as the end users from the ground level angler up to the big boy pros. The show starts right now, so get your paddles ready and let's get started.
Well, hello, guys. I'm your host, John Suits with Greenfish Nation, coming to you live from the Beyond the Paddle studio right here in Point, Texas. I want to thank you for joining us tonight, guys. Guys, don't forget you can also find us over on YouTube at Bass Fishing with Greenfish Nation. There's where we do a lot of video production, long form. We also do some live fishing. We do some shorts, and we do secondary podcast airing there. Don't forget to slide over there and drop us a subscribe. Also, give us the old thumbs up for that like and turn on your little notifications bell so you'll know when we drop something new. We can also be found over at Facebook under Greenfish Nation Kayak Series Tournaments, Trails, and Challenges, and right here on Beyond the Paddle. Guys, tonight, if you want to talk about kayaks, kayak fishing, and kayak tournament fishing, I've got a very special guest for you tonight. He's coming from us from the natural state of Arkansas. Guys, I want you to welcome to the stage Andy, the Bearded Paddler.
How's it going?
Thank you for joining us tonight. We appreciate you being here.
I appreciate you having me on.
You bet. I've been looking forward to this now for a couple weeks, and I'm just excited to get to talk to you and just get to learn some things about you. And, you know, I'm just going to give you an open door and let's just talk about whatever you want to talk about.
Absolutely. So like you said, I manage a kayak retail store in a town called Cotter, Arkansas. Cotter. Specifically, it's a company called Ozark Mountain Trading Company, or OMTC is what we call it. But one of the larger kayak retail stores in the country. We have 4 different locations: Siloam Springs here in Cotter, Garfield, Arkansas, and Ozark, Missouri, just between Branson and Springfield. Any given time, we tend to carry anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 kayaks in stock, and I've got access to everything. So that's kind of what started me on the whole YouTube venture, is seeing people walk in and out of the store and they say, well, I saw this or that on YouTube. And usually, not all the time, but usually it was something incorrect. And I got to thinking, I was watching some of these videos and I was like, well, I can do this. I have access to it. And access is kind of my unfair advantage on it. So I decided to I grabbed my phone and just started recording, and then, just tried to get better and better at it. And then rest is history, so to speak.
Yeah. I think that's the way a lot of people's YouTube adventure, as I like to call it, goes.
Yeah.
You go back, I've been doing it for 2 years, and I go back and look at my first videos, and boy, I thought I was really, really doing good then. And I think I'm doing better now, but I was the judge that thought I was doing good to start with.
And I think that's everybody.
Yeah.
I always tell people when someone's saying, hey, I'm thinking about starting a channel, the thing I always tell people is the best day to start was yesterday. The second best day is today. And
right.
You're just going to get better. Some people say that and I'm the same way. I hate hearing my voice on recording and then seeing myself on camera. But the one thing I always tell people too is your friends, your family, all of the coworkers, they don't care. They don't care about you having a YouTube channel. It's the people out there that are looking for that content. So
absolutely. That's the hardest thing to realize.
Yes. Nobody cares if you got a YouTube channel locally. It's people out there that find you, and you're going to have value to, no matter, there's always a group out there that's going to find value in what you bring to the table. So
yeah, nobody's near as excited about it as you are. It seems like especially when you first get started, I've been doing it for 2 years. You've got 6,740 subs and have put out over 387 videos. Man, that's a lot of work.
It is.
Uh,
It's a
you know,
grind.
it is a grind. Like I said, I've been doing it for just over, I think December was year 2 for me.
Mhm.
And I really do enjoy it. Like I told you earlier in the green room, I'm a paramedic, so I have a lot of, I'd say, idle time. Once we
Yeah.
get our truck checked off and all that, then I make sure the station's good. And then, I mean, I just soon watch YouTube videos on fishing because I can't go
Yeah.
fishing.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. But yeah, it is a grind.
So,
How long have you been doing YouTube?
February was 1 year. And I know, a lot of my videos, so the 387, a lot of those were shorts. I think overall I've got about 100 long form videos out there. That's one thing that I kind of stopped doing, not necessarily because no one was watching it, but seeing a lot of views and then a lot of subscribers from my short form content, and that didn't usually transfer over to success on the long form. So I started putting more effort, because there for a while I was doing 2, sometimes 3 a week. And then when I upgraded my equipment, upgraded my audio, and then started getting more into the editing process, that's when I said, okay, I want to focus more on quality instead of quantity. And then started getting a lot more into, okay, instead of doing 2 or 3 a week, I want to do 1 a week. And I want the best possible video that I can possibly put out. And then I started seeing a little bit more. So I just saw one of your questions on here, asking about what cameras do you use. So
Yes.
especially starting out, and this is just my opinion, the number one thing you should start out with is good audio. It doesn't mean you got to go out and spend $300 to $500 on audio, but just a good mic. Some places make really good wired, lanyard types setups there, but my thing was audio. Good video with bad audio, and people are going to be tuning out in that first 30 seconds. If you have really
Absolutely.
good, yeah, if you got good audio and okay video, or the best video that you can do, I mean, most of your phones can do HD, some of them even 4K or higher. Good audio is number one in my opinion. And then I personally, I use it's a Sony ZV-E10, and that's what you get with my talking face videos. It gives you the blurry background and all that stuff. But
Yeah.
honestly, at the end of the day, if they're able to hear you good, and especially if you're doing informative videos, and if you're fishing, same thing, being able to hear you out on the water really good, having the little wind protector on there is really nice, especially if it gets a little breezy. We've all watched those fishing videos where you can just hear the wind just whipping through the mic and you can't really hear them. And there's 1,000 other fishing videos out there. So usually people are tuning out and going to something else there.
Right. Well, I kind of reversing a little bit, talking about the shorts, and then we'll get back to the cameras. But I feel like it's the society that we live in. You know, TikTok and
Yeah.
Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts. Like I can put up a video that I work. I may spend 6 or 8 hours filming a video and another 3 or 4 hours editing it, and it's 15, 20 minutes long, and I'll get maybe 75 or 100 views on it. But I
Yeah.
can literally take clips out of that are
Yes.
15 seconds long, and I can get 6,000-7,000 views on shorts.
Yeah. And push that video too at the same time.
Absolutely. And I love that they've added that at the bottom.
They push it too.
Yeah, and that helps you push your videos. And I have seen my videos come up in views. But speaking of the wireless mics, the USA kayak fishing Rode wireless, I have one of those now. He actually seen me out. I believe if this is the same guy from North Carolina. He no, I'm sorry, that was bass fishing 336. I
There
was
he is.
out fishing today live. I do a little bit of live fishing. I love that. It's
Yeah.
just something that I just started new. And he come on and I don't know, I caught 12 or 15 in about 30, 45 minutes. And you know, we were just kind of going back and forth. And I love that about the live. Do you do any live stuff other than like your live stream that you do on Sunday
Yeah.
nights usually?
I don't. I do mostly. It's mostly pre-recorded and edited. And I'll do on the water stuff, which I'll get back to doing as as soon as weather kind of gets out, because I've got a lot of stuff set to do. So I started out doing obviously videos in the store, and then transition to those into videos on the water. And the biggest thing with me was what I used to do was, and this is just me trying to be more efficient, is taking a video and I'll do both in store and on the water on the same video. And then I started doing them separately. So do my overview in the store. Then a few days later, I would do my video on the water, because usually they're two different questions, and
Yeah.
grouping them all together, I'll get a video that gets 1,000 or 1,500 views. And if I do the two separate videos, I've got two separate videos getting 1,000 to 1,500 views. That was another
Yeah.
thing, was and not trying to put too much content out there, but I would rather put out a couple of 10-minute to 12-minute videos than one 30-minute video that people are kind of exhausted by halfway through, and they're not even, they're not able to see what's coming into the end of that video. So I've learned to kind of break it up a little bit. That was probably my biggest thing that I needed to learn, especially in the beginning, because the videos are just too long. And like you said, a lot like the shorts, your attention span of your audience, while they're still interested in what you're doing, you kind of lose them after a while. And you'll see them with that YouTube graph, that line just starts going down and down and down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've found that through my short experience, I do really good on shorts, and I have done just experimentally some hour-long kayak fishing videos
Yeah.
to where I just go out, and these weren't lives. This is before I started doing lives. I would just go out and do unedited and film for an hour and literally come home, dump them on YouTube, and
Yeah.
I'd get 3 times as many views as I would on something that was edited. You know what I mean? And it's just,
Yeah, absolutely.
as a videographer, that's kind of frustrating to me because I know how
Yeah.
much work I put into,
Yeah.
making sure I got good camera angles and having to take,
Yeah.
different things 2 or 3 times sometimes and all that. But I guess it's just the world that we live in. So,
And
but
sometimes there's just no explaining it. I'll do a video that I just think, okay, this is just absolute fire. This is going to hit. Everyone's going to watch this. Everything's done right. The lighting's done right, and it does okay. And then I'll
yeah,
put a video out that I just didn't really put a whole lot of effort into. I'll have a couple of videos I keep in the holster just in case something happens that week, and I just need to get something out. And then that one will just take off for no reason. And
right.
just learning a little bit about, and all of our audiences are different. So like my batch of subscribers, certain things may hit a little bit harder than others, and uh,
Yeah,
but every now and then there'll just be something come out where there's no explaining it. A video you think is going to do really good, just it does okay or not good at all, and then a video that you don't really have a whole lot of hopes for, that just takes off. And I'm still learning the algorithm, of course. My biggest thing that I've learned in the first 30 seconds, that's where I try to focus things on. I've quit asking for likes and subscribes in that first few seconds, because somebody told me that, if you're monetized on YouTube, usually by the time when they click on your video, they've already got done watching like a 30-second ad. And then
right.
literally when your video starts, you're starting with an ad. It's like, hey, don't forget to like and subscribe and and then I just saw the first 30 seconds, it just dropped off when I quit doing that.
Mhm.
It leveled out a little bit better. Not that I don't, I'll do like a little graphic that says please hit like or something, but
Right.
I just quit doing it the very first, and that really helped me out a lot. And usually that first really 10 seconds explaining exactly what I'm doing. So like, hey, welcome back to the channel. I'm here to find out which is better, this kayak or this kayak. We're going to take them, just things like that, and things that engage people. And then when the higher that first 30-second number is, that percentage, the more YouTube seems to push it. And whether it's fishing or floating or reviews or gear reviews, it grabs their attention a lot better in conjunction with your titles and your thumbnails and all that jazz. But
yeah, I'm a firm believer there's a big difference in having a hook and then clickbait.
Exactly.
If I feel like I'm being clickbaited, I'll just move on. I'm not one of those guys that, that tries to clickbait people into watching my stuff. Like I said, I've had my channel for 2 years. I've got 750 subscribers. I do it for fun.
Yeah.
Just like I do this for fun. I do this because I get to know people that I wouldn't otherwise,
Absolutely.
and I love doing it. And I do it to my satisfaction, but I do not like to be clickbaited into something. I feel like my time has been stolen.
Absolutely. And that's the truth. That is the truth.
So I want to get to some of these questions right quick. Yeah, we're talking about a nice short attention span. Yep. So an hour has to be a greatest catch video. Man, all my fishing videos are greatest catch videos. If I go out and don't catch anything, I caught a break. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But time of day of your upload, definitely, I believe that does matter. I have a friend that's going to be on here in a couple of weeks. Every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock, he drops a video, and then he'll do shorts in between. And then also,
I wish.
Yeah.
I wish. Man, I'm not that big yet. But I yearn for the days where I've got somebody else editing my videos and I could just focus on the content. But now I'm a one-man show on that. I literally, maybe 10 minutes before I jumped on here, just got done cutting out an edit, dealing with the frustrations of frame rate issue, and I had to relink stuff. It just putting in graphics, putting in text, cutting out blanks, cutting out second and first takes. Yeah, that's where the grind comes in. There was something to be said about my first videos, my first few months, just holding a camera, and you can just see my finger pointing in the front of the camera to the different things. And I just upload it straight to YouTube, and I'd be like, I don't know why everyone's saying that. Where's the grind at? And then when I started caring a little bit more about the value of the video, yeah, it's it's the grind. It really is.
Yeah.
And I think that's what gets some people out of it, honestly.
I think it is too. It takes a lot of time. I mean, like I was telling you, to produce a 20-minute video, by the time you say, if it's a fishing video, okay, well, you're generally not going to be catching a fish over the cast. You're going to fish 4, 5, 6 hours, and then you got to spend time to get there, time to get home, time to upload it. Or first of all, you got to spend 3 or 4 hours editing it. If you want to do a really good job, add some music, add some effects and different things. You've got 10 or 12 hours tied up in a 20-minute video.
Yeah.
But here's
gotta
one
enjoy
song. Yeah. You have to love it. It says you have Mrs. Paddler now. She can edit.
I'm working on that. That's in progress.
Yeah.
She's currently, now she is she's a professor at a local college here, and she also is going to college to get her doctorate. So there she is.
Good luck.
There she is. Yeah, it was a matter of time. I knew she'd be watching, and yeah, but yeah, we'll get her up to speed.
You know, it just takes time, right?
We'll teach her the joys of cutting, and my blooper reel is just something it's something else. We filmed a video here a few days ago, and I was doing a video on the Old Town Autopilot, and there's a train track about 50 yards behind the store, and literally right in the middle of it, just train rolled through the horn. You know, they're pulling the horn. It's just like, okay. So I just started laughing. I'm just like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah. So, getting back to the cameras. So you said you used a Sony for your talking head
Yeah,
videos.
it's the Sony ZV E10, but the camera is just part of it. The lens is where you really get the effect.
Yeah.
I use it's a 30 millimeter with a 1.4 aperture, which the aperture is where you get like the blurry background and the really good focus. Lighting, I use cheap lighting. I think I got my lighting from like a open box Best Buy sale, just something just hitting the side where it's not too bright. That way you don't look like you're glowing, but
Yeah.
you know, just something just to kind of break up the shadow and just give you an effect. Because if it's just me talking like this here, you know, I'm usually right here. And after a while, if it's not visually appealing in just the least bit, you kind of lose people. So just breaking
Yeah.
in the zoom, breaking in the angle, that just little bitty things.
So do you ever use two cameras? That way you can swap them every once in a while, just swap the view. I mean, it's
I
still a
haven't
talking head, but it's just one to the other sometimes.
I haven't yet. That is coming. I use Final Cut Pro because I'm a Mac user. So I've got a part on there where I can just put it over a section of video, and it will slowly zoom in and then slowly zoom out. And then also I'm usually cutting parts out of a certain, you know, a single video stream, and that can kind of give me a little bit of
A shift.
yeah, I can zoom in, I can change the angle a little bit, and I don't. I'm very careful to not overproduce a video because I feel like that can have the same effect as not doing anything at all. When
Yeah.
everything is just such a production, you got videos and text and sliders and graphics, and it's like watching an action movie where it's just nonstop explosions. It's like, okay, it's
Just
exhausting,
gets
and
old
yeah,
after a while. Yeah. So let me ask you something and get your opinion on this. I'll just I know of a couple people that do this, but one that I've noticed a lot. Do you watch Greg Blanchard's videos ever?
yeah, yeah,
So do you ever notice how it's like, and Christine Fisher does it some too. It's like just every few seconds, it's like almost like a glitch. I
yes,
know that's an attention keeper.
yeah.
Do you use that type of stuff
The
in your?
same thing that just zooming in, it's called an ease in and an ease out, just
Uh-huh.
something to break up the monotony.
Okay.
And someone told me it's best done every 7 seconds. I don't quite do 7 seconds. I feel like that's a little much, especially in a 15-minute video. If every 7 seconds you're zooming in and out and going all over the place, but I try to ease it in almost to where you can't really tell it, but it's like giving a break on the eyes a little bit, especially in a fishing video or an outdoor video.
Yeah.
It looks like if you don't move it at all, it's like sitting indoors looking at things through a window, as opposed to where some people do a really good job of the angles, making it feel like, okay, they're on the boat with you or they're on the kayak with you. So
Yeah. So before I started kayak fishing, I fished out of a 21-foot Blazer, and I run the old GoPro Hero 3 Pluses,
mm,
and they have a great picture and they have
yeah,
great audio as long as you use an external mic.
yes,
And
yeah,
I would have 5 cameras going sometimes because I wanted to get every angle. Now I
yep,
wouldn't use all of the angles all of the time, but like if I had a great fish on the right side of the boat, it was covered. If I had a great fish on the left side of the boat, or You know, I wanted to catch in front of the boat or facing back toward me, or from the stern facing the bow, from the console facing. And it's a lot of work, but it really makes a good video. But like you said, you have to be careful not to overproduce that. So
I do that on the water videos a lot. So I'll have a GoPro. I've got a GoPro 10, and I'll usually have that. That's usually what I'm talking into, because it's my best picture quality. And then I've got a GoPro, the GoPro 10 Black. And then I've got a GoPro Hero 4 that I use for almost B-roll, where I'll have it kind of bent down to where it's level with the water, so you can see the side of the kayak cut into the water. And then, it just little things like that. I don't like and maybe it's just me being just self-conscious, but having that forward-facing camera, or I always like to call the crotch shot, is, a lot of people will have it sitting really low, and I'm just like, man, that's not a flattering angle at all. And so I'll kind of do it to the side, and I've got one of those Yak Attack boomsticks, so have it hanging way out to the side, and it gives it looking like, somebody's panning alongside of you. And sometimes I'll have my wife, going beside me on her kayak, filming different stuff.
Yeah, you can just get as creative as you want. On my kayak, I started out with 2 of the YOLO Tech. I used one of the taller ones, the 53-inch one on the back, and then I put a bow mount one on the front. I still use the bow mount one on the front, but I use the boomstick on the back, because like you said, I can extend that thing out, 6 or 7 foot, and I can put it out there. And like you said, you get those great shots of, coming along beside you and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then what I like about the one on the front is, like you said, it's up higher, and you're not getting that crotch shot. You know what I mean? And I don't use a chesty a lot. I occasionally I do, but
I've used it a few times.
This guy says that shot is nuts. Yeah, it could be.
That's the best way to put it right
sure.
there. That is the best. I have thrown away video before because of that shot. That's the last thing I want people focusing on is, When are you going to
drone the yak shop?
So the drone shots are kind of a tricky thing. Since I am monetized on YouTube, I have to have the license to do the drone.
Yeah.
And that's coming. That's something I will get into. But for right now, it's not something I would do enough of to really justify, buying the drone and getting the license and all that stuff. But for doing the on the water footage, because I'm going to do a lot more rivers and creek filming this year, and basically seeing how non-river kayaks would perform on a little bit of moving water. Nothing crazy, but just we're surrounded by some of the most beautiful water and beautiful scenery in the country, in my opinion. Buffalo National River, it's one of the few last frontier places in the South, and just having wildlife and vegetation and fish and beautiful waterways, and being able to see it from a following or an overhead shot, I think would add some really good stuff for the viewer, and then just something I would like to do as well. So that's definitely coming.
Yeah. I think that would be a good idea. I love, like I said, I'm not monetized, but I do understand that any footage that you have prior to being monetized, once you become monetized, you need to take that down.
And that's why I've held it, because I've got friends that have drones and they've offered to do it. But I said, well, if I do it, on the past ones, like you said, I'd have to take that down. And I'm not. There's a guy in my shop that he works for me, that he does his own YouTube show. And it's called Uncle David Outdoors. If you guys want to follow him, he does just kayak camping on the Buffalo National River in his kayak. And it's I told him when he first started out is limited narration, quiet, serene, nature-like. And I told him it's something that people can just put on the TV and just let run. And it's almost like just a relaxing atmosphere. But he would really benefit from the drone shots. But I told him too, is like, you just go ahead and get your license, because you will be monetized with the content that you do.
Yeah.
And you don't want to have to go back through old footage or just have that uncomfortable conversation when, in the future about your, previous footage that you did.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a pain to have to go back and go through all that stuff and try to figure out what you done drone footage on and all that stuff. But so, getting back to the kayaks now that we've talked a little bit about YouTube. So what all, you said you're accessible to everything. That
Yeah, for the
goes as
most part.
far as
Yeah.
from set in kayaks, like whitewater kayaks, all the
Yeah.
way up to like fishing kayaks and that sort of stuff.
So we take a lot of pride in U.S. made roto molded kayaks. And that's a really big thing with us. So we are a Jackson retailer. We do Perception and Wilderness Systems, as well as Dagger. We also do Hobie, Bonafide, Native, and I'm sure I'm just forgetting. We carry several different brands. We the store that I manage, we're actually in the process of becoming an Old Town dealer. So we'll have Old Town Kayak and Canoe in there. But there's only so much space I've got. I get asked about Crescent Kayak a lot. I've paddled their kayaks. That there's one guy, a subscriber of mine, that does his own channel, and he has a Crescent, and he's local here. So I was able to borrow his and just kind of do a review on it. But there's only so much space. We got the same amount of space, and we probably got six more different kayaks than just when I first started back in 21 here at this company. But there's only so much we can do, obviously. But I feel like we carry all of the really high quality brands for the most part, and I'm happy with what we carry. There's not really a company out there that I just really wish we had, because usually the stuff that we carry competes really well or exceeds some of those other brands, I feel.
Yeah. So what's your thoughts on the Perception Outlaw 11.5?
The Outlaw 11.5, it's that's probably one of our most popular sellers because of obviously the budget. It's a tremendous value, and usually your beginners are just looking for stability and comfort. They don't necessarily care about it, paddling really fast or doing any of that. And that's where the Outlaw kind of fits into place. Now, the price has gone up quite a bit over the last couple of years, just like everything else has. When I first started in 2021, that kayak was $747.
Yeah.
So you have an 11.5-foot kayak, got a really high frame seat. It's extremely stable. We called it the ultimate, just big guy, lazy fishing kayak. Like you can sit on that thing. You're comfortable. You're sitting up high. You got a little cooler in the back, or you can remove the seat and use the cooler as your seat and just fish away. And there's people that take those down moving water around here. They don't mind having to paddle more. They just like that it's stable, it's comfortable, and nobody's looking at taking any whitewater on it or anything. But
right. Well, I fish out of the 11.5. I'm 6'7", wear a size 15 shoe, and weigh about 320 pounds.
yeah,
I load that boat down.
yeah.
But I
And
put a lot of stuff on it. I've got 2 graphs, 2 batteries, black pack, trolling motor, tackle. I'm pushing the limits on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it's a great boat. Like I said, it's the one kayak that I really get asked a lot about. Because what's the first question that anybody's got about a kayak is stability.
Right.
And when you're talking about stability for under $1,000, that's definitely one of them. I wouldn't say it's the top, but it's pretty close. And
Yeah.
Perception has one of the best rotomolded processes out there, I think. They've been doing it for a long time, and you know, the price of it now is, I believe it's $9.29 now, so it's getting a little bit into the Jackson Bite and a lot of other kayaks around that same price point. So does it hold the same value today? I think so, but a lot of people, primarily where I live, are looking for rivers and creeks. So we've seen the sales dip a little bit on the Outlaw, but they're going to the Perception, the Pescador Pro, same seat as the Outlaw, but maybe a little bit more of a river friendly kayak.
Yeah.
And now with the industry's really shifted to motorization, you can still motorize an Outlaw, but you've got the New Canoe Unlimited, you got the Bonafide PWR, you got the river kayak from Bonafide, the RVR 119. There's so many different kayaks that are made to be motorized. I mean, Pelican even has a couple of kayaks that are made to put a motor on. So,
Yeah, I believe that Pelican Catch, is it the 110 or?
There's the Catch, and there's another one. It almost looks like a John boat, and it literally has the flat transom on it. I can't remember the name of it to save my life, though.
Yeah, I've seen the one you're talking about. I don't exactly remember it. Actually, one of my coworkers was talking about buying one of them because he's wanting to put a motor on it. But I like the Outlaw. It seems like it's very heavily built, almost indestructible. You're not going to just put your thumb on it and push down and it just give and all that like some of the other kayaks. But I need something that's going to hold me up. You know what I mean? And I've been out in the middle of Lake Fork and Lake Tawakoni in it and go all over in it,
And when you're talking about motorizing a kayak, the structure and the strength of that hull makes a big, big difference.
Absolutely.
And they pedal. They did a pedal drive on the Outlaws. I think it was 2022 was the first year. The Showdown.
Yeah, I think so.
The Perception Showdown. It's a pedal drive version of the Outlaw. And that's been a really popular one because it's a really solid pedal drive kayak for around that $2,200 range there. So
yeah. So I seen you had an Old Town that you were advertising on Facebook. Was it Old Town? It was the powered one.
Yeah, the autopilot, and that was the 136. So that was the bigger one.
Okay. Did you sell it?
Yes.
I figured it wouldn't last long at that price.
That was a crazy deal. Because that kayak brand new is $49.99. And I think we had it on sale for $29.99, and it was very lightly used. That's another thing that people are starting to realize is that the used market, the bubble is kind of burst on that market with the supply and demand kind of correcting itself now. And, the days of getting that brand new price for a used kayak are kind of done, but that does open the door for people that are new to the sport to really get in a quality kayak too. So if you don't have the budget for a brand new one, don't go a lesser quality brand new one, go a higher quality secondhand. And that's somebody that manages a new retail store, but I would rather see someone get in a quality kayak than get into maybe a lesser quality new kayak, because you're still going to have that longevity. It's still going to be easier to repair, and you're going to be able to grow into it a little bit more than you would some of your big box store kayaks.
Yeah, I think that's some pretty good advice. I like the way you put that. Buy a better kayak that's used for the same price that you could buy a cheaper kayak that's new. So that's a good investment. I like the way you put that. That makes a lot of sense, especially coming from a guy that sells kayaks,
Yeah. And, and we do trade-ins too. So we usually got some used kayaks in stock, but it just, when I see somebody, and there's always a lot being made of this. So when I'm talking about big box store kayaks, obviously I'm talking about your Pelicans and your Lifetimes. And there's not that there's anything wrong with those kayaks. They float, they do what they're intended on doing. I just feel like those are marketed in a way that they get sold as something that they're not intended on being. They're not intended on being big open water kayaks. Like you were talking about being out on a major lake. They're meant for close to shore paddling. They're meant for smaller bodies. So if you got like maybe a bigger pond or a really small lake, they might be okay for you, of course. But if you're talking about like what most people are using them for, because usually what happens is when people buy those, they're already looking to modify it to what they want. So they're wanting to put a frame seat in it. They're wanting to put outriggers for this, to help with the stability. And a lot of times, if they just would have looked maybe on Marketplace or there's used kayaks everywhere. They probably could have bought an Outlaw, you know what I mean? Better seat, better stability, and not a lot more of an investment. So there's a butt for every seat, but I feel like most people that get into those lower price kayaks probably would have been better suited to go and then not have to spend much more money or anything at all to go to a really, really high quality kayak that was a little bit more what they were looking for, instead of modifying a different kayak that's not meant to do that and to kind of fill that space, that void there.
Yeah. I know some of those, like you talked about, that they have the frame seat, but it basically sits on the floor. You raise those things up 3 or 4 inches, and man, they are just like sitting on a log. They're very, very, very unstable. They have a very low center of gravity, I guess you'd say.
And a really short shelf life typically too.
Yes. You see a lot of those on for sale. Really, really cheap. But I just wanted to get your opinion on that Outlaw. I've had mine for going on 2 years now. I love it. I'd like to have a bigger boat just because I'm a bigger guy.
Yeah,
I'd like to have something that was, I'm actually looking at getting a new kayak this next year. I'm looking at, of course, I'd like to have a Hobie just because I like their fin drive, and I fish in a lot of grass and stuff. I use my motor most of the time, but I would like to have the option, of pedaling. But also I'm looking at that new Canoe Unlimited, and I'm looking at the Titan X. So those are kind of my 3 top choices. So
that Titan X, man, it's heavy, but that's like if you put a lot of features and a lot of accessories in a room with like a 10-year-old, and you told them, make a kayak with everything on it.
Yeah.
The Titan X is kind of what you get. It's what happens when you put every single feature on a kayak. So when people ask me, why doesn't Jackson or Hobie, or why don't they do this? Well, it adds weight to it. So, even with, like, say, a Jackson or even most natives, it's already a heavy kayak. So when you add aluminum gear track, when you add, reinforced hulls on the bow and the stern for motorized, that adds weight. Compartments, internal, an aluminum, a marine grade aluminum drive with that propel drive, it adds weight. So in the 12'5" version of the Titan X, you get a kayak that weighs 172 pounds. But most people are kind of used to that big open water heavy kayak. What you get is, man, you get a metal frame, swivel seat. That to me is the best all around fishing kayak on the market. And it's not the most expensive either, which is great. The 12.5 is $35.99, and we have sold a ton of those things.
Oh yeah. So speaking of those, what's your opinion on that new Canoe Unlimited?
I've owned a new Canoe Unlimited, and I absolutely love it, but it caters to what I like in a kayak. I like open deck space. I don't like clutter. I understand why people like it, because you got different storage compartments, but I like that open space because my needs and my techniques will change. And the fact that you can motorize it on the bow or the stern, because all the new canoes have that flat transom. So that gives you more budget-friendly options for a trolling motor. You can buy one of them little clamp-on ones, those little 35, 40-pound thrust motors. or
Yeah.
you can do I just did a build for a customer. It was that unlimited with the bow mount motor and the gear pod and all this stuff. I mean, you really can build it up like a set of Legos. And New Canoe's a phenomenal company. You got lifetime parts warranty, parts replacement warranty on all their new kayaks. You've got the New Canoe Unlimited 10 coming out. I believe we're supposed to be seeing those here maybe next week.
Yeah, that's the
And
shorter version, right?
yeah, and technically it's an 11 foot. It's 10 foot 10 inches, so it's just a hair under 11 foot. I think
Yeah.
that's the sweet spot, is between that 10 and 12 foot. If somebody's not wanting, if they maybe want something for river, slow moving rivers and lake, I think that might be a phenomenal option, because you can still motorize it. You could still add their pedal drive to it. You can build it incrementally over time. And I think that's kind of what makes them unique a little bit.
Yeah. So the New Canoe Unlimited, you can add a pedal drive to that one as
Yeah.
well.
It's called a pivot drive. So it mounts on top of the deck on the same gear track where that seat fits on. And the cool thing about it is your prop is on the back. So it's almost, it acts as a rudder and it propels you at the same time. And it's basically a stern mounted trolling motor you control with your feet. It kicks up. It's easily removable. It's just, it's a few screws in the front and the back, and you just take it off as one piece. And I like it. It's not the cheapest thing in the world. It's about the same price as the bow mount motor. I want to say around $1,300. But when you take that kayak and you put a motor or put a pedal drive on it, you're still quite a bit cheaper than most kayaks that come from the factory with that on it.
Right.
And this, you can kind of make it how you want it, because usually people want to go one direction or the other. They're rarely doing both on that kayak specifically. So
yeah, it seems like it's highly modifiable. You can do lots of things with it.
Yeah, it's the chicken breast of the kayak industry. You can season it however you want to there.
Oh goodness, I've never heard it put that way, but that's a pretty good one. But well, what you got planned for your upcoming year? Are you fishing any tournaments? I knew I'd talked to you back earlier in the, well, I guess it was late last year, about maybe doing an Arkansas trail for us, and you said you had a lot of irons in the fire right now.
Yeah,
and I'll totally respect that.
That's the one unfortunate thing about, Saturdays are a must for me in the spring and the summer, being the manager. And Saturdays are typically when all the good tournaments are run. We sponsor a couple of groups here locally. So every now and then they'll run a tournament like on a Sunday that I can go into, but I don't like taking from them. So I'll do it with the intention of not, if I win anything, I don't take it. But I like to fish. I'm extremely competitive. And fishing, for whatever reason, is just one thing I'm not competitive on. I just enjoy it. I enjoy being out on the water. I enjoy fishing. And obviously I'm always chasing that big monster out there. But honestly, I just like being out there and just, I'm looking at nature as well as the fish. So, if I got super competitive on it, it would cause me to stress about things I don't need to be stressing over. And that's just not me on the water. But this year I'm probably going to be doing a little bit more float trips on rivers and creeks when I have time. And then, obviously doing some content on kayaks on that river, but I'm big on smallmouth fishing. Especially some of the places we go, you can catch 5 different species of fish. And, I've kind of gotten back into that. I'm still chasing my largemouths on the lakes here, because we have 2 really large lakes. Me and my wife both probably prefer largemouth over everything, but man, there's just something about being doing that river fishing that's just a little different to me.
Yeah, I've watched a lot of the videos, different people doing river fishing. The creek fisherman, I like watching him as well.
He actually did one of his videos here just down the road. That's what got me into him, and I love his content.
Yeah, he's got pretty cool content, but I love, that's just something we don't have around here.
Yeah.
We have some rivers, but they're not like anything you guys have up in Arkansas. I mean, we have the Sabine River. Most of our rivers here are smaller, until you get down close to the coast, then they'll
Yeah.
open up and then you get into that brackish water and stuff. But Vicky White says hello. She's
Maybe.
one of our anglers through Greenfish Nation. She may be a subscriber to your channel. I don't know.
I hope so.
I hope
I
so.
I have a tremendous amount of respect for the amount of women that are getting involved in kayak fishing.
Absolutely. I've tried to get as many to us as I can,
Yeah, and I understand that my content can be a little unisex in theory, but there's more and more women getting into it, and I always like to call them they're the silent, they're the silent minority still, but they are out there. The last in 2023, the state champion kayak fisher was a woman. So and I don't believe she uses electronics either. Now she goes around like she does the thing. She's not just someone that just got into
Right.
it and just all of a sudden hit it. But I
Yeah.
know that's one thing with like Christine Fisher, just getting the word out, getting people watch her and say, "Well, that looks like fun," and I think that's phenomenal. My wife,
Absolutely.
she fishes with me too, and she actually had a better year than I did last year. I know she really loves to point that out, but it's
Yeah.
true. She had a good year. It's her second year doing it, and she learned her knots. She learned on getting the right baits, fishing the conditions, looking for signs of life, and all that. And it seemed like every trip we took this year, she was breaking her personal best each time. So
That's awesome.
I
That's
love it.
awesome.
I love it. And
Yeah.
that
My
that
wife,
means
she
more
loves to
fishing for
fish
me.
too.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean,
That's a
wife wants
win-win
to
deal.
go.
Yeah. My wife, she loves to fish. I haven't got her on the kayak yet, but I just got a secondary kayak this year. And my kids, I've got a 14-year-old and 11-year-old. So
Oh, nice.
we fished the bass boat some, but I'm going to try to get them out on some kayak stuff this year. And I feel like they'll really enjoy that. We used to have a little 2-man bass buster or
Mhm.
pond prowler, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. And they love to get out on that with me, and they love to get in the big boat. But I'm looking forward to getting them on the kayak, letting them get out and paddle and catch some fish. It's just different on the kayak,
It
It's
really is. And if somebody has never done it before, it's hard to explain that to them.
yeah,
Um, I've had a lot. I mean, over the last several years, I've developed a lot of relationships with the people that I've sold kayaks to, and I've known people that sell their bass boats once they get that kayak.
I,
And
I'd love to.
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where they say, man, it's like I bought this kayak to fish like skinny water,
Hmm.
and they end up buying, they sell the boat and they buy, a lake setup, and they say it's like I don't miss it. The
Yeah,
maintenance, the cost, all that, because that's always the biggest thing when somebody sees some of these elaborate kayaks and they say, well, why don't you just buy a boat? I'm like, well, it's different. You're talking about accessing
yeah,
parts of the water you can't normally with a boat. The cost over the long term is substantially less. Uh, you know,
absolutely,
but it's being smart too. Being smart with what you're buying.
absolutely.
Not everybody needs a $5,000 Hobie Pro angler. They're
Right,
nice, but if you're not using all of the features on a kayak like that, you don't really need that. There's a
yeah,
lot of options. There's a lot of quality kayaks out there. And then that's the biggest thing that I think people have gotten away from is shopping for need, not what they see somebody doing on YouTube.
right,
So, what kind of water are you floating? Is it primarily river or lake? What's your budget? What budget do you want to stay within? And what do you need that kayak to do? What do you need? Do you need it to carry a lot of gear? Do you need it to rig up for electronics? Do you maybe want to motorize it down the road? Those are all things to think about. And there's usually a couple of kayaks in all of those questions that it narrows it down and it keeps it from being this huge undertaking, watching YouTube videos for months and months and months and still getting more questions and answers. So
yeah, yeah. It's like you said. There's a seat for every butt,
yeah,
and there's a kayak for every paddler. You Those are the questions that I get a lot, just because I'm around a lot of people
Mhm.
that are interested. I've got my kayak. I'd call it highly modified,
Yeah,
but I've got it modified to what I need
exactly.
to do what I do. But I have guys that are at the boat ramp in $120,000 bass boats, and I'm pulling up in my little $700 kayak, and then the time
Yeah,
I get through putting all my stuff on it, I've got $4 or $5,000 sitting there, and I back it right in the water, and it comes off the trailer, and my little rope pulls it right up to the boat ramp, and I go get it.
yeah,
And next thing I know, I'm walking from the truck, and they're like, "Hey, let me look at that kayak, man. That's pretty cool."
yeah.
Uh, well, why are you kayak fishing? Last time I seen you, you were in a boat. Well, I like the kayak. Uh,
Mhm.
I've never put gas in my kayak one time.
Yeah,
I've never replaced a fuel pump or starter.
never
Uh,
winterized
you
it.
never had because I just love it. It's
Yeah,
just, and to me, it's something about being on the water, not
yes.
necessarily just standing on a boat. You know what I
It's
mean?
a
Which
more
I
intimate experience.
absolutely,
Yeah,
I can't tell you the number of times that I have, set a fish down in the water or picked a fish up out of the water and it splashes water on you. I don't
that
know.
launch
There's
is
just
awesome.
something
Yeah,
about it. It's like, wow, I'm part of this. I'm not
yeah,
just pitching this fish up in the boat and going over there and picking it up, taking the hook out and dropping it back in the water. I'm right here with it. I'm a
yeah,
part of this. That's
yeah.
that's what I love about it.
My favorite thing is when a boat comes up next to you on your kayak and asks how you're doing.
Right.
Like, doing great. They see you
Yeah.
catching fish, and then they'll motor over to you, and it's a little bit of a pet peeve. But some people just, I guess, don't have that in them as far as just. I've literally watched John boats with just they'll have that smoking motor behind it and going from kayak to kayak asking what they're catching fish on and what how they're doing, and
Yeah.
it's different. But when I see people struggling and yelling at each other at the boat ramps trying to back it in, and if the boat ramp is full, I go in the dirt. I can slide my kayak in right there, park back up there, and it's a snap. Even on your heavier
Absolutely.
kayaks, it's just different. I don't have to
Oh
worry
yeah.
about waiting in line at the boat ramp. I don't have to worry about dock fees and keeping it at the marina and keeping it covered. And it's a bass boat you can throw in the back of your truck.
Absolutely. And kayak people are just a different breed.
Yes.
Um, I will say this. I've been bass fishing now for 47 years, and I have met some real conceited, arrogant people in a bass boat.
Yeah.
I have yet to, I'm not saying they're not out there.
They're out there, but they're
I,
very few
I,
and far between.
I
Yeah.
have yet to have a real bad experience
Yeah.
on a kayak
And if you do
with
get
other
that,
kayakers.
the community will tend to fix that naturally,
Absolutely.
but yeah, that's the thing. And that's, even in, your subscriber base and mine, the people that we interact with here on these platforms, they're just some of the best people.
Oh
Now I
yeah.
just the gratitude and the support, and you're going to get that with anything. I get that, but man, the kayak fishing community, it's been a different experience altogether.
Yeah.
Just some of the best people I've known and met have been on these kayak groups, or just being out on the river, being out on the lake. When you see another kayak out there fishing, you can't help but talk to each other, and that's that
Absolutely.
community. That is that community.
Yeah. Yep. So, well, do you have anything else? We're pushing an hour, and I
Yeah,
appreciate you giving me your time.
I'm never short for words, that's for sure. But yeah, just follow me on YouTube, The Bearded Paddler. Facebook, I'm pretty active on with with the reels and the post and the live stream that me and my wife do every Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Time, 8 Eastern. We like to interact with people, but we really enjoy what we do, and I hope that comes across in the content that we're putting out. But yeah, I'm still trying to get my wife to learn how to edit videos. So I know somebody mentioned that. I'm working on that. I'm working on that just kind of quietly. Of course, I guess the cat's out of the bag now, but
well, it is now.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I really appreciate you joining us. I enjoyed talking with you and getting to laugh a little bit and kind
Yeah,
of getting to
absolutely.
know you. And I look forward to having you on again sometime. I really
Absolutely.
enjoyed it. And I wouldn't be opposed to coming to Arkansas and doing a little river fishing.
Hey, ain't nothing to it but to do it, man.
She's
We
been
got it.
brought.
I'll show you some holes here. Yep, there's my.
That'd be a nope.
I got to be continued.
Oh gosh, but yeah, I'd love to come up there, and if you want to come down here and catch some largemouth,
Absolutely.
hey, we may
Never say never. All my kayaks are lightweight and easy to haul. So
absolutely. Well, I appreciate you being on here with us tonight. Like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed getting to get to know you and laughing with you and cutting up and learning about you and learning a little bit more about kayaks. And I always say, if you in your life, if you run across one person and you can take one thing from that person, whether that be good, bad, or otherwise, you've learned something. But I really enjoyed it tonight. So, awesome. Andy, I appreciate you being here. I look forward to having you on again soon.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm going to let you go here, and we're going to get off of this thing and let all these folks get to bed.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks again, John. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Andy. All right. Bye-bye. Well, guys, there you have it. The Bearded Paddler coming to you right from Arkansas. Really enjoyed his banter tonight. I hope you guys had a good night as well. Don't forget to subscribe us on YouTube at Bass Fishing with Greenfish Nation. Check us out over there on Kayak Tournaments, Trails, Series, and Challenges over there on Facebook there at Greenfish Nation. We'd love to have you fishing with us. If you're a kayak angler, we have something for you. We have multiple state trails, as you can see there on the banner below. We also have 5 regions that run continuously throughout the United States. You can fit in there somewhere, I promise you. Those regional challenges are a month long. They go from midnight 01 of the first until 11:59 p of the last day of the month. If you have any questions on how to do any of that, you can reach out to me at greenfishnation@gmail.com, or you can drop me a line over there on Messenger under John Suits on Facebook or Greenfish Nation. There's multiple ways to catch up to me. But guys, I can't thank you enough for joining us tonight here on Beyond the Paddle. It's always my pleasure to get on here and have great guests for you guys. I enjoy them so much, and I enjoy this so much, guys. God bless you. And until next time, I'm John with Greenfish Nation, and I want to wish you guys all tight lines.
Thank you again for joining our podcast. We appreciate your continued support. Don't forget to subscribe to us on YouTube at Bass Fishing with Greenfish Nation. Check us out on Facebook at the group Greenfish Nation Kayak Tournament Series, Trails and Challenges. We can also be found on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok under the handle Greenfish Nation. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm John, and I want to wish you tight lines, guys.